All right, welcome everyone to round 2 of our introductory session here for TC311, Introduction to Technology for Data Visualization. My name is Nick, and with me here on this course introduction is Madeline. Madeline, do you want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. I'm Madeline. I am your course co-facilitator, and I will be here for support, for general questions, and I will also be hosting quite a few of these live sessions along with Nick. But I'd like to know if everybody can see and hear us okay. Please let us know if you're having any issues.
So maybe, Madeline, we should start by just asking the folks that are joining us for this session, we're going to do a quick roll call, and we'll do a roll call for every session where I just read the names off, and Madeline will do that when she's leading the session. We're going to read the names off of the people who are joining live, and that's just a way for us to know you're out there and vice versa. So we'll do that, but we want to get some practice with everybody using the chat function that we have next to the videos. So if you can just send us a message in the chat function, tell us what you had for lunch today, maybe something fun you did over the weekend, something interesting that you think might be worth sharing, and really just a chance for you to practice using this chat so we know that you are comfortable doing it. And while you're doing that, I'm going to read off some of the folks we've got in this session. This morning we had a larger group. This session, it looks like fewer folks, but we like to do the 2 sessions on the first day just to make sure everybody can get their chance to ask live questions, to get a feel for the format and so forth. So Alona, Carolyn, Edom, Phelan, Lolade, and Tiffany, welcome to the session. There probably are a few others joining that are not on here yet. So if I say your names wrong, this is also an opportunity for you to help me say them better the next time. And this is the format. We're going to be basically having guest experts, sometimes in this chair right next to me. Sometimes they'll be remote, the way that Madeline is right now. And we'll be interviewing folks about different topics related to data visualization. Sometimes those sessions will, I see Brian also joined us. Welcome, Brian. Sometimes these sessions will be more demos of different technologies, platforms, and other times these sessions will be more conversational, fireside chat style. So they'll really depend on a mix of different models. Okay, so Edom and Kristen is also here. Welcome, Kristen. So it looks like some folks getting some practice with the chat. That's great to see. So back over to you, Madeline. Do you want to walk people through kind of the high level nuts and bolts of how they would maybe toggle their video to get better resolution, and also what's required to get certified?
Sure, yeah, I'd love to. I'm going to quick share my screen so we can kind of see what's going on in the live events page. Now the live events page is where you will go every time for one of our events. And should you see that the video quality was a little bit low, or sometimes some of our presenters have Excel sheets or a lot of text on their presentations, what you have to do is just kind of toggle down to this bottom right corner for the settings gear. And when you click on it, you should have this option for quality. And if you select that, then you have several options of adjusting the video for you. So I would do 720p, and that will make the video screen a lot clearer. If you are battling with some bandwidth issues, or you have maybe lower quality wireless internet for any reason, just go ahead and go to auto, and it will automatically adjust for you for whatever is most necessary. So that's just a little quick fix. But maybe, Nick, I can go through a walkthrough of week 1.
I think that would be great. So Madeline will do a deep dive now into kind of the course itself and demonstrate some of the learning paths that we have in store for you. If you have any questions along the way, now is your chance to ask them. We like to do these sessions to make sure your technology is working okay, but also to introduce the various aspects and features and content of the course. So take it away, Madeline.
Okay, great. So this is our first module of the course. This is the orientation tab. And in it, you will find a lot of resources of how to get started on your tech change course. We have our intro video here at the top, which is it's a fun, 3-minute video, what to expect in the course. We ask you to fill out your profile with whatever information you're comfortable sharing. A lot of you have introduced yourselves in our thread, so that's great. If you've not done so, go ahead and click there and say a little bit about yourself and what you're doing and what you hope to get through this class. We have a scavenger hunt to take you through these bits and pieces of the course, an at-mentioned story to get you started, and a study buddy. So for the study buddy, we really like to have you partner up with somebody who is in your time zone, or somebody that you maybe know or want to get to know, and just help you stay on track with the course. We really throw a lot at you each week of this course, and it can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming, but I think, and Nick really thinks that you can get a lot by having a partner in crime and working with this together. So we do have a sign-up sheet, and it looks like we have one set of partners already. So that's exciting. So you guys will kind of reach out to each other and then really facilitate the communication between the two of you.
If you need help with the pairing, we're also available, and we're going to go through. So if you're looking for a partner but don't feel like you're at the stage where you can reach out to somebody, we're happy to make that link. And we have a number of activities that I think would be good to do with your partner over the course of the next couple of weeks, and we can suggest those. But this is really just a way for you to get the most out of the course by having somebody else pace you, by being accountable to them, and by connecting with them, in addition to all the live events and sessions that we do for the larger group. So yeah. Madeline, maybe walk us through what it takes to get certified in this course before we do kind of week 1 stuff.
Okay, sure. So what you will need to do is you will need to satisfy 3 different areas. The first is that you need to acquire at least 100 tech points, and you can get tech points 1 per day per sign-in into the course, 2 for responding to a forum or making a reply to a discussion thread, 5 for creating a whole new post on your own, and 10 for watching this live event as it happens in real time. And we totally understand that this is not always at the most convenient time for you. And we have had lots of participants who show up at 12 in the morning, and we do not need you to do that. But if you need to watch this event at a later time, we record all of our sessions and we will put them into the archives tab. You can find that on the main site of the course at the top right. And you will receive 7 points, tech points, for watching that recording. So from tech points, you also need to submit a final project. And we'll talk more about that in week 3 and 4. And lastly, you need to complete a course evaluation, which we'll also talk about in week 4. So those are kind of the 3 big areas. And by clicking on links throughout the course, watching the videos, engaging with the platform, you will receive all the amount of points that you need.
It's not an incredibly high threshold, but we really do like for folks to be engaged. I think submitting that final project is really, particularly for this course, an exciting one because it will be visual. You're going to have lots of different tools, demos, opportunities to think about your own data sets and how to work successfully with them. So when you do your final projects, it will be a culmination of those efforts and activities. And then you'll get to post a link or a screenshot or some kind of embeddable graphic into the platform and get feedback from others about your work. And so that's the goal. The goal here is to have it be as relevant to your work and your lives as possible. And there are a number of opportunities along the way to help you do that. So Madeline, walk us through week 1. What do folks have in store in this first week of the course?
Yep, so week 1, we really start to kind of get the gears turning on what data viz is and what are some of the essential principles and how to really understand it. We go into some of the basics of data viz formats and frameworks, different types of data viz. We go into a couple introductory tools and kind of beginner tools for data viz, Infogram and Canva. Nick and I will also be doing a live event next week on Infogram and Canva to kind of get you started. And we have 4 different activities this week create an audience persona is really trying to think about those specific people or that specific group who you're making this data viz for, and this really helps you narrow down and focus really the scope and the idea of the story you're trying to tell with your data viz. We have Dear Data, which is a perfect example of using a study buddy or another person in your area or even across the globe. Dear Data is using maybe classic forms of data viz and kind of telling your story and tracking something over a series of weeks or just 1 week. Nick, do you want to talk any more about this? This is kind of a fun project.
Yeah, this is a really fun one, folks. So the idea behind Dear Data comes from these two designers who I saw speak live at a conference called PopTech. And what they did was they got together, they lived across the Atlantic Ocean, and they said, we're both designers, we're both working with data. Wouldn't it be interesting to develop some kind of pen-pal relationship around different topics? And so they took a different topic every week, and they said, let's collect data around the shared topic. Maybe it's what I had for lunch, or my social media habits, or the number of times I pick up my kids from school, you name it, whatever it was. They picked a shared topic each week, and then they collected data about that topic, and then on a postcard, they visualized that data and then sent it to each other. And so part of the fun of the activity is taking a shared topic and having two completely different approaches to how to visualize that data set. And so I think this is a really fun way with a study buddy or partner to be able to do some analog data collection and visualization. And I think it gets us at least out of the realm a bit of the stress of having to use technology all the time to solve our problems, and to really just put pen to paper and to draw out and think creatively about how to visualize some of these everyday life activities that we engage in. So I hope some of you will take advantage of that. Madeline is again going to send out a sign-up sheet for partnering people up. It is a bit of work, but I think the rewards are many, and the process itself is quite fascinating. And I think, Madeline, maybe you can show 1 or 2 examples just so people can get excited about it.
Yeah, I'd love to. Let me switch over to that. But while I'm switching over, maybe let's see, let's get into here. Sorry, guys. So I did in our last cohort of TC311 is I did a Dear Data with a lady named Deval Patel, and she was on the other side of the earth for me. She was in Bangladesh, and she and I decided to look at yoga and meditation and try to track our mental health and stability while we were really working on physical stability and wellness. So we were really looking at yoga and its effects on our patients. So I made a visual of my own over 1 week, and Devel made a similar one with a slightly different process, and we sent them to each other. And it was really, really fun to both kind of track what's going on in our own lives, but also find out what's going on with somebody on the other side of the earth. So it was super fun, and we actually did this for a series of weeks. We probably did about 4 weeks, and it did take a bit of communication beforehand. We met over Skype and over Google Hangouts and really talked about our objectives and what we really wanted to get out of this, and then worked together to really keep ourselves accountable, and we cheered each other on, and we made really cool business about it. So I really encourage you guys to do it. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yep, and just to reiterate, you do have options, as each week we have a number of suggested activities, and there will be other options for the final project, but the goal here is to have you be somewhat autonomous in how you choose your path and learn with us. And as Madeline mentioned, as long as you reach that 100-point threshold and submit a final project, you can get certified. Mm-hmm. So Madeline, what else should we mention? Do we mention that all the events are archived and where to find them?
Mm-hmm. Yep, so you will find those in the media archives. And we have our session from this morning already archived there. So what you'll typically find is a recording of the session and a chat transcript. And if we have any materials that guest experts give to us, we will also list that underneath the video. You can check and see what events are coming up in the course calendar. That's on the right side of your course page. And you'll see tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we have an overview of data viz with Samir Vazdev, and Nick can talk more about Samir. And on Friday, we have an office hours and kind of course check-in. So Nick and I will kind of be addressing any questions that you have, concerns, and really kind of recapping everything that we've done this week. And we will also be available via Skype for one-on-one chats if you guys would like. I do have a sign-up sheet that I sent out today at 4, and I'll send out again another sign-up sheet. But if you are interested in talking or have any questions and want to chat with us over Skype, I do have a sign-up sheet here, and you can sign up for a 15-minute slot.
Great. Go ahead.
Something else I was going to say is that we have this option of updating the calendar to reflect where you are. So maybe if you are in Khartoum, you can save your calendar and you can see the events in a local time. So instead of converting from EST to wherever you are, you can adjust it as necessary.
Excellent. And maybe I'll jump in here, Madeline, and just talk a bit about some of the events that we're really excited about for this particular course. We have tomorrow's session with Samir. He is a data whiz. He's going to be doing an introduction to data visualization. We're going to look at a number of bad data visualizations and develop a vocabulary for how to improve them. And then later this week on that Friday session, we're actually going to talk a bit more in depth about some of the activities, start to look a bit more closely at some of the tools, and as Madeline mentioned, do some office hours for you all. And one question I have for the group that's watching is how many of you have data sets that you are really hoping to work with in this class? Would love to just get a feel for if you have data sets that you're coming to this class with, we'd love to know about it and kind of what format those data files are in. And we asked this question this morning and got all kinds of interesting answers, but I'd be curious too to hear from the group that's watching now. And while you're responding to that, I'll give you a little bit more information. Next week, as Madeline mentioned, we will have a session on Pictochart and Infogram and Canva, some of the beginner level tools. Really excited to have a colleague of mine who works at the University of Maryland, who's an academic who's got an amazing interactive dashboard tool called Qgis. We have another session with Ashley from Visuality on design thinking meets visualization. We're going to have kind of intermediate level tools like Tableau, Google Data Studio, and so forth. And then some more advanced tools like Power BI, which I think is really the best solution for a number of you who are already working in Excel and trying to create really complex visualizations. Power BI is another Microsoft product that makes life a lot easier and is really more designed to build dashboards. But for those of you who are dying to go deeper into Excel, we have an entire 2-hour course. It's very popular that walks through all kinds of things, how to clean your data, how to do static interactive visualizations, pivot charts, slicers, you name it. We have that as well. So yeah, I'm just looking here. Madeline, back to you, and then I'll read some of these responses, what form people are, form data people have.
Okay, great.
Data sets in. Yeah.
Yeah, I see them coming in. So thanks, guys, for posting those in. But another point to talk about is that, while this course is really kind of intense, so we have a lot going on during this facilitated 4 weeks, you actually have 4 months after the end of this facilitated 4 weeks to complete all of your materials, to submit your final project, to acquire your 100 tech points, and really get everything from the class that you need to get your certificate. So you have quite a lot of time, and we recognize that you do have very busy schedules, and a lot of you are traveling and have a lot of things going on. So we do allow that 4-month period for you to get everything in order. For those of you that are in the diploma program, you have essentially an entire year from the 3 classes in this program to finish all of your materials. So we try to work with you as much as we can, and always feel free to reach out to us. We can use the @mention feature, which I think a lot of you are familiar with and getting started with the @mention story of traveling by boat. So I'm excited for everybody participating in that. But always remember that we have this @mention feature, which I'm using now, to call out Kristen. And go ahead and use those in the course, or shoot us an email or a chat if you need any assistance.
That's a great way to do things. I'm glad you mentioned that, Madeline. And let's hear from some folks. So it looks like the Afrobarometer group, I know Brian, and it looks like Edim as well. Lots of data in SPSS and Excel. Tiffany has it in an Excel spreadsheet. Carolyn has it in SPSS public opinion data from Africa. So it looks like Alona has several research data sets on drug use and treatment in Ukraine. Meryl, of course, hi Meryl, has data, but doesn't know if she can use it. We'll hopefully be able to help you here, Meryl. And then Kristen is saying, well, she's got qualitative data, maybe less quantitative data. So looking for ways to visualize that. And we had, based on feedback, we actually had quite a bit of qualitative data conversations in the course preceding this, Kristen, on technology for data collection. So I will make sure that this course extends on those conversations and that you get some good insight for how to visualize qualitative data. It's a topic that a lot of folks are coming to us with, and we're really excited to provide them with some answers. Let's see, Lola Day, let's see, you have an aggregate data exported from DHIS2, which for those that don't know is a health information system software and CSV format. She's using pivot tables and Excel dashboards from the data set. She's ready for Power BI. Well, good. And my message to many of you who are watching here is let us graduate from Excel and get excited about Power BI because Excel it makes things more difficult to do the dashboard building and to do advanced things like pivot tables and slicers. So I know it's going to be hard for some of you. It was hard for me, but I'm telling you, Power BI is very exciting. We have a great colleague, Michelle, who's going to be doing a demo on Power BI. And I'm really hoping that a number of you who already have access to Microsoft products, because if you've got Excel, will be able to graduate to Power BI through this class. So that's the goal. All right. And then it looks like, Lauren, you have data housed in SQL databases. So we are going to talk a little bit about some more advanced forms of data, relational databases like SQL and SQL. So stay tuned. We have a whole session on D3.js, which is how a lot of the more advanced data visualizations that you see on the New York Times, other places, they use something called JavaScript libraries like D3.js to do those interactive and animated visualizations. And we'll talk a bit more about those as we get further into the course. So that's all I've got. Madeline, I'm going to turn it back to you, but I want to make sure if anybody has any questions, I would love to use this time to help answer them before we dive into content tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe the last thing I'd like to talk about is the participant panel, which I've had a lot of fun with in the past. In our last course, Tech for Data Collection, we had 4 or 5 folks come on and talk about and really reflect on some of the principles of the course and how they can incorporate those into their career and into their work. And it really kind of turned into an encouraging, interesting kind of roundtable discussion. So I'd love to do that again. That will tentatively be the last Tuesday of the course. I think that's the 6th of June. So I will be sending out another sheet for signups. And if you guys have a time during the day which you mostly feel strong about, we will gravitate towards that to make it a little bit more flexible for everybody to join. So I'd love to do that. It's a lot of fun. And you guys will hear more about that later on. Additionally, participating in this panel will serve as your final project. So you can kind of swap that out, and essentially, panel you'll talk about what you are planning to do for your final project. So it's a lot of fun. I think that's my last plug.
Great. So again, if you've got questions, go ahead and ask them now. I would definitely recommend, as Madeline mentioned, having some of you speak in participant panels. It's a great way to also, if you're struggling with a certain strategy for how to visualize your data or a specific tool that you're maybe not getting the most out of, it's a good way to present a problem to the class and get some really powerful feedback on that problem. So hope some of you take advantage of that. And with that, I think we will, as we come up here to 5:30, probably wrap up. But what Madeline and I will do, we'll maybe close the video, but be available on chat so that you can ask us questions. And then tomorrow morning, our time, 10 a.m., we're going to get started with Samir. That will be a great introductory session. Again, if you cannot join these sessions live, don't worry. You have access in the archives to everything that's being recorded. Go back and watch it. And if you have a burning question for an expert that you know you can't make, just message us or email us or write to us on the platform and say, hey, can you ask this question? And we're pretty good about working those in to conversations. So also counting on a number of the students who have taken more than one course with us to help those who are new to the mix. Always great to have your help in these courses, getting people oriented. Edom asking before we wrap up here, we'll mostly be using open source software. Good question, Edom. We have some open source tools and some more proprietary tools. And some of the proprietary tools have free versions. And so each time we present a tool, we'll talk a bit about the pros and cons of the open source version versus the proprietary versions. And with the proprietary versions, what you get out of the free versions. And for things like Canva, Infogram, and Pictochart, you can get really far with free versions. Now, the advantage of taking the Tech Change class is we pay for a lot of these subscriptions across these different software platforms. And you get the ability to log in, to play around, to create visualizations without having to pay for anything. And you can decide if it's worth it for your organization. And then some of the open source ones, and Madeline will show, for instance, Qgis, which is an open source geospatial analysis tool, similar to what you'd find in ArcGIS for those that do a lot of GIS work, except it's not proprietary, it's open source. So we'll talk about tools like that are open source, and then we'll also talk about stuff that is paid. And we do our best to present pros and cons of each, and I think there are some great open source tools out there, and there are also some terrible ones, and the same is true for proprietary, some great ones and some pretty awful ones. So we try and find the right mix to show you, and then we help make you make decisions. All right, so Madeline, you have shared the office hours and the study buddy sign-up sheets. So your job right now, folks who are watching, is to, if you'd like to do the study buddy and you need our help to find one, feel free to sign up here. If you want to go out and find that study buddy specifically and write to them, you're also welcome to do that. You don't need our help. And then if you'd like to set up a time to do an office hour, I think we do kind of 10 to 15 minute chunks. If you have a specific project you're working on, you want us to kind of know about it as we're going through the course, happy to carve out some time to talk with you about it. And I can give you some specific feedback about what I think makes the most sense for your particular challenge. But yeah, that's all we got. So Madeline, turning it back to you, but we'll wrap up here in a sec and then be available over chat in case anybody have any questions.
Yeah, I don't think I have a whole lot more on my end, but I would just like to echo that I will be around on the course platform at the end of this session for any questions that you guys have. And a lot of you have been chatting me with specific questions, and that's great. Keep doing that. I would love to hear it, and I will be here for you guys. Yeah, I think just get acquainted with the platform as you can. Introduce yourself on the forums if you haven't done so already. And I think you guys will all enjoy this course. This is one of our favorite ones. It's super fun, really engaging. So it should be a great time.
All right, well, so Nick and Madeline signing off here, but don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. And we look forward to seeing you all online. All right, that's all for us.
All right, bye.